Hello, wonderful world of YouTube. How are we doing today? I'm Wardy, back with another YouTube exclusive. This time, well, again, from the IEM Katowice server qualifiers, because let's be realistic, right now, those are the hardest games on the market. They were sick, they were good, they had the best players in the world, and honestly, I think until Katowice comes around, we're probably going to keep on casting these because there are so many great games that I still haven't casted as well. So this one, coming at you from one of the Asian server qualifiers, we have to the bottom right hand side our blue Protoss player from Splice Stats. Up against the red Terran to the top left hand side, Psystorm Gaming's GuMiho. Two players which I heard a couple of people asking for in the comments of my previous videos, and as always guys, if you want to see a particular player or see a particular match, let me know down below in the comments. I'll be more than happy to try and oblige as best as I can, of course. A couple of people keep asking for Serral. It's really hard to get Serral replays, but I'll try my best. I've got a couple ways that I'm thinking of, so maybe there's a slight possibility. We'll look at it. As always though guys, if you do enjoy this video, do not forget to like, subscribe, and comment, because all those interactions help me grow the YouTube, let's not lie. And, well, again, we're trying to push the YouTube. The better it does, the more content I can produce. The more content I produce, the more you can watch. The more you can watch, the more StarCraft or something, I don't know, the world explodes in a good way. It's you know, it's a nice little domino effect though. So remember to do that if you enjoy. As we see the gateway and cybercore positioned here already to just block the Reaper access in from this little jump up ledge, which means that if you want to get in with the Reaper now as GuMiho, you either have to come up the ramp or over here. But it's much easier to have a unit in position here, for example, than having to have a unit that's like kind of, well, if it's here, it gets here and here very fast. But if it's here, how do you get over there? Much more difficult, takes a lot longer, and much more likely that Reaper is going to be able to hop up, scout, and pick up all of that information, which is what the Terran is absolutely dreaming of. He's like, hell yeah, that's exactly what I want. But if you can deny that from him, then why on earth wouldn't you? Now, there's a couple of weaknesses to taking a gateway in a cybercore like this, obviously. And in case of a tank push, for example, if you have tank sieging up here to hit the natural, you could then maybe shut down this gateway as well. And so you might already be losing productionist stats. But I think that's something that's kind of further down the road, and it is going to help you a lot, stopping the Terran player from knowing what's going on. Now, the Terrans in this patch, and GuMiho especially, has been extremely creative. He's come up with some really interesting builds, some really cool little funky timing to try and get ahead early game and take a large advantage through to the mid game to then pretty much end the game then and there, rather than letting the game run on too much, because the last thing you want to do in TVP lately is let the game be extended, because it's just not very fun right now. Pros have a lot of solid options, they have a lot of opportunities in terms of how they can build up a strong army and so on and so forth. They get them bases very quickly, and we talk about it all the time. So Terrans generally do look to end the game, preferably sooner. But we'll see what GuMiho's approach is going to be. Maybe an SCV pull, maybe a big push. Right now it's going to be a medevac and a cyclone coming in alongside these initial marines which are under production. So a few marines on the way up right now. I'm just waiting for that medevac before this can really turn into something. We'll see if he starts a siege tank here as well, because that would start to indicate already the possibility of a tank push in the next few moments, as a cyclone does see the hallucinated oracle, but we'll continue down towards the bottom right. Seems like we're going to be picking up those marines and bringing those to the bottom. Now, as the cyclone actually turns around, but again, it's a hallucination, so this is really nice from stats. He wastes the boost on the medevac, and the cyclone came all the way back home. And locks on, and again, that is just a hallucination, so GuMiho completely wasting time there. The actual tech choice from stats was a Twilight Council, dropping down in the main base. The dropping a Twilight Council down in the main, followed by a robo facility, is just going to be that blink opener. The stats has decided to wall off here, maybe a little bit afraid of the potential of, some Hellions earlier in the game, wants to be able to wall that off. This wall off, though, is always going to be a bit weaker when you get into the tank push, right? The tanks will siege up, and then those gateways are one of the first targets. You see the medevac in the main, deflected very easily by the first few stalkers, which are just holding position. But that's okay. GuMiho is more so looking to keep these units alive and probably just follow up with this nice big push now with siege tanks involved as well. Bless me, I'm sneezing. That's why I just went quiet all of a sudden. I mean, what do you do when you sneeze during a YouTube? Do you like pause it? You edit it out? I don't think so, because then you guys missed the SCVs starting to come across the map. Apologies, guys. SCVs, though. So GuMiho is looking to be very aggressive here very quickly. Stalkers on the top side from Stats coming along. They're going to be poking up, and, well, I mean, they might be able to catch that Viking, which would be really nice, because Vikings actually have a lot of power in TVP battles, just because of the fact they do extra damage to mechanical, aka Stalkers. Man, Stats' Warlock here, though, is just not really going to cut it, is it? Is going to be seeing Probe starting to pull into this now. The tank is going to be held out by a landed Viking, but there's just so many Marines. Cyclone locking on every now and then as well, continuing to pick off Stalkers. And this other Viking probably just wants to land too, because his team was the first one to dealt so much damage here. And you just see these Stalkers are still not having much of a chance. I mean, the Marine camp's been withered away, and it is slowly starting to become a playable position, perhaps from Stats, but this bunker will finish, and that means Marines are inside, and it's going to be even more difficult to clean up. However, the Stalkers blink to the other side. However, they take so much damage. The Marines in the bunker still firing. Oh my god, with the Viking landed there as well, suddenly those Stalkers just absolutely disappeared. And GuMiho will continue to set up the sieges and continue to press forwards in towards the natural expansion. Oh, the Liberator nearly going down, just survives the Stalkers, which are currently cutting off reinforcements still. He had 3, now it's only 2, but it's still there as the gateways at the front have gone down, and now, well, that's the biggest issue, right? Where are the other gateways? There isn't any. An Immortal on the way up. If that Immortal doesn't have any support, especially against something like a Liberator, and a tank which deals damage so quickly that 2 or 3 Stalkers won't do the job here. And that SCV repairing the Liberator as well, so the damage that these Stalkers dealt to it is pretty much being nullified right now as GuMiho continues to build up into such a powerful pushing force. Banshee's on the way, another siege tank, and he's finally starting to add on extra barracks as well, ready for transition here if required. Immortal goes down, and the tank and the Liberator will fall in the process. Actually, some more Stalkers here survived than I thought they would, although now he's losing them because he's fighting the bunker and not microing backwards. And that is very unlike Stats, as GuMiho will jump out of the bunker, knowing it's going to go down, gets absolutely everything he can out of it, gets that salvage off, 75 minerals back in the bank, and Stats will hold on, but not in a very strong position. We're talking about a 43 probe to a 49 worker game, and obviously that's very weak. Yes, he has the third base to fall back on, though, and he can chrono boost out some workers here. And that's what he's going to, the one thing he really has. But usually, as Protoss, you get that third so fast because you're looking to be 10 workers or so ahead of the Terran. Maybe not quite 10, but you want to try and stay ahead of the Mules, which are essentially adding in a couple workers here and there. This is good damage by GuMiho, a good start from him. And I mean, Stats lost so many units as well. If you look at resources lost, it's been pretty even, but of course, Stats has been mining a little bit less. And here's this Banshee now to show up, maybe get a few probes as well. Absolutely nothing to defend on the third base, so Banshee flies in. 1, 2, 3 workers going down instantly. Make that 4 and probably 5 as well. Oh, nope, this probe apparently gets a free passes. You see the sentries are not the best at dealing damage to the Banshee. They're not that quick at it, so Stalkers need to get in position. They're blinking around now. The best part from GuMiho is this is a cloakless Banshee, and it's gotten him 5 worker kills, and it's lost mining time from Stats as he pulled his workers away. So GuMiho right away here. 5 kills on that Banshee, doing a pretty good job of this. And just in general, looking pretty good still, right? The more you slow Stats down, the more powerful this follow-up push is going to be. This push, which now has Stimpack, combat shields, and +1, or it will do by the time it hits. He is up against Colossus, which makes me, I mean, it's a third CC. I almost want to believe it's an SCV pull to help deal with the Colossus, but in a way, I guess that's what the siege tanks will do. If you can get the siege tank sieged up and they target fire the Colossus will actually die pretty quickly. So that's potentially what we're going to see from GuMiho here, as we see a couple of tanks getting sieged. Now, this army of Stats is coming around through the center of the map. Banshee's blinking in and doing some damage to that Stalker there. Oh my god, what's this? I mean, the Colossus was fighting like one Marine or Marauder in the back of the tanks, just firing away. Groove command to the maximum, and Stats is just so split up. I mean, again, picking off reinforcements now is nice, but he's going to be losing the third base in the process. There's 5 siege tanks here, and well, a handful of Stalkers and Zealots with the single Colossus isn't going to do much against it. Eventually, these Colossus pushing across the map are not going to be able to keep pushing either. I mean, eventually that's going to become an issue as the third base falls. I mean, the Zealots are wandering in, but they have no armor upgrades, so the Zealots are nowhere near as tanky as you usually need them to be to help out. Stats, as he starts to actually lose the Colossus on the other side of the map, is going to type out a GG to give GuMiho a 1-0 lead in the best of 3 series. I mean, solid push from GuMiho. Did what he needed to do, a lot of damage with the first push, and Stats getting punished hard for the Wall-off at the front, for example, Stalkers going down. I mean, just bad fights from stats. There's multiple times where Stalkers could have been saved and they weren't, and those things become so important in, you know, in attacks like this, because you need everything you can get behind it to truly survive. So, well played by GuMiho, and he goes up 1-0. Game number 2 going to take place on Automaton, and we get into the top right of it with the blue Protoss player stats up against, of course, in the bottom left, the red Terran up 1-0, GuMiho in this best of 3. So again, Terran players still playing fairly aggressively, believe it or not. Just as a precursor, this is of course the old patch, not the current patch, which is alive when this video goes out. Just because these are IEM Katowice replays, obviously we IEM Katowice server qualifier replays. Sorry, I said Katowice replays the other day, and someone was like, Katowice started? I missed it? Just the qualifier replays. Obviously they're only like a couple of weeks old, but the new patch is only about a week old at this stage, so it's just one of those things where unfortunately their lifespan is aging. But again, they're great games in general, so excited to be able to cast some more of these, and at some point I was going to try and cast all of them, but I've been ill the last couple of days, and I've just missed a couple of streams because of it, and so I missed out on casting a bunch more, although there'll still be a few more to cast. There's a bunch of replays in general that I'm looking to try and get into and delve into and to grab for you guys, so making a bit of a plan. Seems pretty fun. Anyways, let's talk about this game. You guys don't want to know about my life story, do you? You want me to talk about StarCraft, and that's what we're going to do. As an SCV comes in, going to nibble away at that probe, so a little bit of a fight right here as the Rack's going to finish up from GuMiho, and a Reaper on the way out. Cybernetics core free stats starting up in the main base, and again it's the similar idea to the last game. There's a little wall off just to block the Reaper access, so back-to-back games, same opener. Now, I wouldn't say it was actually the wall off that was the problem last time around, although this is a very exposed pylon. Any sort of high ground vision here, and this pylon can go down, and that includes like a Cyclone lock on, and it really isn't going to take much. The one thing that really hurt stats though is attempting to wall off last game, and if he attempts to wall off here, I mean, it's such a wide natural, it's very difficult to, so instead I think he's just going to prioritize having units in location. And again, you're only walling off to deal with the potential of Hellions. If you go for a tank push as the Terran player, the wall off is actually so weak. It just falls apart because you lose 2 gateways and suddenly you can't warp in as many units as you might expect to be able to, and it goes drastically wrong for you from there, as this time Stats is going to change up his early game tech choice, opting for the Stargate now rather than the Twilight Council, so a little bit of a different way about this. As you do see this SCV from GuMiho going on a bit of a wander down to the bottom right hand side of the map, and it is going to be hiding a starport, I would imagine. And there it is, starport drops down. So with a Hellion production started, what this is going to be is a Hellion drop into the main, or maybe Hellion run by with a Widow Mine drop into the main, although with the starport proxied, that doesn't make sense, right? You have to do a Hellion drop, because otherwise the Widow Mines have to run across the map, and that doesn't really make much sense. They're not as fast as Hellions. So the idea is, the 4 Hellions will be waiting here as the medevac comes in very quickly, picks up, drops in the main, and looks for a whole bunch of worker kills in the very early stages of game number 2. So again, GuMiho playing aggressive, looking to get ahead and stay ahead with early aggression. So let's see if he can. His orbital command currently finishing up, so it's a base apiece on the naturals for both players. And we're still waiting to see what Stats' overall plan is going to be, obviously. So for now, first Oracle, that's obvious off the Stargate. Is there Phoenix production behind this? Well, it is going to be a second Oracle, so that answers some questions already. So double Oracle, a lot of map control. Those Oracles out of position though. Oh, he sees the Hellions. That's really good information from Stats. Now he knows to be ready to deal with those, and actually there is no anti-air at all in this mineral line. So GuMiho is in a lot of trouble because this Oracle can just go in and just pick away at a bunch of SCVs. So already getting quite a lot of damage done. The Hellions trying to run in at the front, but Adept will block. And it was actually a Liberator made out of the starport, so not a medevac in the end. As that Oracle is going to get a few more SCVs. I mean, a couple of Marines showing up now. This is a 9-kill Oracle. Mill runs out of time, so that wasn't killed off. 11 kills. Fantastic damage dealt, as we see at the same time on the other side of the map. These Hellions, fairly unsuccessful overall. Liberator will siege in the main, though, and obviously you don't want to pull the probes away because then the Hellions are going to get them as they stack up. But Stats decides to anyways, and oh, this is getting a little bit messy now, as that Liberator is going to take a while to go down. Probe after probe are dropping, and actually there's Hellions like, you know what, I can get some more damage on the low ground. If there's nothing to clean me up in the next few moments, then why on earth wouldn't I? The next Oracle went across the map to deal more damage, and it's more SCVs dropping, as the Hellion on the other side has 10 kills, 11 when it dies. This Oracle goes down to the Cyclone. So Oracle after 4 or 5 kills falls. The other Oracle with 11 kills will come back in, but has to be careful now. Anti-air is up. Comes in and will try and kill number 12 for itself and 13. Very nicely done. That's 26 probes killed though to 19 SCVs. This is a huge amount of damage by GuMiho. I mean, that Liberator was stood there for ages. The Hellions cleaned out the entire main, plus some damage on the natural. And GuMiho has absolutely done the damage which he probably wants to do here. Because again, at this stage, as well, you know what, his starport is found, so that's a bit of a shame. And has to fly home. He won't get any production out of that for a while, as he adds on extra barracks here. Factory makes way on the tech lab for the barracks to start up stim. He's just going to go into straight up bio follow-up, so he's happy with what he's done so far. He's not going to go for an aggressive follow-up where it's like Marines and tanks. Probably because he doesn't have the starport to back it up as well, and you've got to remember just how useful those Vikings were in that last fight. Well, stat shades in. I mean, that's a bunker full of Marines though, and yeah, okay, you kill off those few Marines, but it's not like Adepts are cheap, and it was really, I don't think, again, a great trade necessarily. Phoenix come in and lift up the 2 Cyclones to stop them locking onto the Adepts, so the 2 Adepts do get out alive where they otherwise might not have. But now we've got some Phoenix which are already pretty damaged, and that makes them so much more vulnerable to further fights. You know, you want to bring those Phoenix in during fights and have them not targeted down instantly so they can lift up Cyclones, bring them out of the engagement, take away potential DPS. But now that's going to be a bit more of a problem. I really feel from stats like, yes, obviously the first Oracle across the map was very nice and it did a lot of damage. But I really feel Oracle number 2 is the difference between cleaning up a lot of those Hellions a lot faster and then taking so much less damage yourself. Even maybe keep, I mean, obviously the first Oracle could have stayed at home as well, and then obviously, yes, Oracle number 1 did a lot of damage, but stats still took more damage, and if the Oracle was at home, those Hellions go down so much faster, which means then you can maybe deal with the Liberator a bit more calmly. I mean, stats lost at least 4 or 5 extra workers because he didn't pull away from the Liberator, because he was busy dealing with the Hellions, because it got into a bit of a crisis moment, where, you know, Hellions were in the mineral lines already. So it's that sort of stage where it's not just the set of units that are dealing damage, it's the fact that Stats is so concerned and busy dealing with other things, it amplifies the damage available from GuMiho's units, and, well, again, maybe those Oracles at home would have just done so much more. It's so hard to say, though, because obviously you go across, you're like, well, he's got no defense, which is, again, why I think Oracle number 1's very hard to say that for. Oracle 2, I think, definitely, though, like, for what he got done, the fact it died so fast, I think it would have been much better at home, Oracle number 2, and then at least you know the Oracle's going to be there to defend too. Well, Stats comes in, drops a Revelation into the main base as GuMiho, man, his army supply is absolutely disgusting. 48 to 19. GuMiho has so much army supply right here. I mean, that's going to be pretty crazy as we see a bunch of Marines continue to pour out, a couple of Marauders. The Medevac's kicking into play as well, and his stim combat shields and +1 is done. We're going to have that bio push across the map, similar to the last game. A little bit of a different time because of the way the builds have worked out and the way the game has gone. But the idea is there, and it is going to be pretty good, I think, from GuMiho as he marches across to that upper right-hand side. Because of Charles, meanwhile, starting up on that Barracks Tech Lab. I mean, just everything you can get. What is Stats meant to do against this? He has a very low number of Zealots. I mean, he just walked in a couple of High Templars, so you can get an Archon out, but I'm not even sure if that Archon's going to finish morphing. Honestly, these Widow Mines could almost solo this entire army at some stage. Phoenix are going to have to come in with some big lifts here. Maybe on the mines to stop them blowing up on the Zealots. He's going to lift a couple of mines. The first one already going off. The next one goes off too. And that means the Zealot front line is just, well, completely cleaned out already. Then the Arkham goes down. The Bio will continue to fight. And GuMiho is just slaying right here. GG from Stats. And GuMiho takes game number 2 of this best of 3. And will take it home and win this series. Alright, well that's it for me today, guys, from the YouTube exclusive. Again, we're putting these out every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday at 10 PM CET. And if I feel like it's going okay, we might even add it in, up it to 4 a week, and if it continues to do well. So please do consider subscribing to the channel. Please do consider hitting that like button as well. Or leave a comment down below. Let me know what you thought of the cast. Let me know what you thought of the games. Let me know which players you might like to see in the future. Because, again, I picked this Stats GuMiho series because I saw some comments asking for GuMiho. I saw some asking for Stats and said, hey, 2 birds, 1 stone. Alright, guys. Thanks for tuning in. See you next time.